On the crisp autumn afternoon of October 25, 2025, the bustling terminals of Chicago O'Hare International Airport were alive with anticipation. Passengers from all walks of life gathered at Gate 17, their tickets in hand, ready to embark on Lufthansa Flight 431, a direct overnight journey to Frankfurt, Germany. For many, this flight marked the beginning of a long-awaited vacation, a business trip, or a return home to loved ones across the Atlantic. The air was filled with a mix of excitement and routine, as travelers checked their passports, exchanged last-minute messages, and watched the ground crew prepare the massive aircraft for departure. The aircraft, a modern wide-body jet, was nearly at capacity, carrying 273 passengers and 12 dedicated crew members. The flight attendants moved efficiently through the aisles, assisting passengers with their seats and ensuring everyone was comfortable for the long journey ahead. The pilots, experienced and calm, completed their final checks in the cockpit, communicating with air traffic control as the sun began to dip toward the horizon. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere was a familiar blend of nervous energy and quiet anticipation. Families settled into their seats, children peering out the windows at the busy runway below. Solo travelers tucked away their carry-ons, while seasoned flyers adjusted their neck pillows and browsed the in-flight entertainment options. The gentle hum of conversation mixed with the mechanical sounds of the aircraft, creating a sense of shared experience among strangers. At precisely 4:30 p.m. Central Time, the engines roared to life. The plane taxied to the runway, and with a surge of power, Lufthansa Flight 431 lifted off, climbing smoothly into the golden Illinois sky. The city of Chicago faded beneath the clouds as the aircraft banked eastward, beginning its transatlantic voyage. As the sun set and the cabin lights dimmed, passengers began to settle into the rhythm of the long-haul flight. Some browsed the movie selection, eager to pass the hours with a favorite film, while others reclined their seats and prepared to sleep through the night. The flight attendants moved quietly, offering drinks and blankets, creating an atmosphere of comfort and calm. Among the hundreds on board was Pranith Kumar Usirapalli, a middle-aged man traveling alone, assigned to seat 43C near the rear of the aircraft. Seated beside him were two teenagers, each absorbed in their own world, one listening to music, the other scrolling through a phone. Their only interaction was a polite nod and a brief greeting as they settled in, strangers sharing a row for the long journey ahead. The cabin was filled with similar fleeting connections, passengers exchanging smiles or brief words. As they passed each other in the aisle, everyone quietly adjusting to the shared space and the hours ahead. The initial hours of the flight passed uneventfully. The plane cruised steadily above the clouds, the world outside reduced to darkness and the occasional twinkle of distant city lights. Inside, most passengers relaxed, lulled by the gentle motion of the aircraft and the soft glow of reading lights. Yet, beneath this calm and ordinary surface, subtle tensions simmered. A few passengers seemed restless, glancing around the cabin with uneasy expressions. The crew, trained to notice even the smallest signs of discomfort, kept a watchful eye, though nothing seemed out of the ordinary. At least, not yet. In just a short while, the trust and safety that defined this shared journey would be shattered. An unexpected and violent act was about to unfold, forever altering the lives of everyone on board Lufthansa Flight 431. Pranith Kumar Usirapalli, born in 1997, is an Indian national who had been living in the U.S. for graduate studies in biblical studies. At the time of the flight, his legal status had lapsed, and he was no longer authorized to stay in the country. His journey to Frankfurt marked a departure from the U.S. after his visa expired. Usirapalli's only interaction with his seatmates was a polite exchange, no signs of conflict or distress. Investigators are now piecing together his background, searching for any motive behind the sudden violence. The portrait that emerges is of a young man whose life took a shocking and violent turn. 2 hours into the flight, Lufthansa 431 cruised quietly over Canada. Most passengers were settled, some watching movies, others dozing off. The two teenage victims sat in 43D and 43E, next to Usirapalli in 43C. There had been no further interaction since boarding. The cabin was peaceful, the crew attentive, and the journey seemed routine. No one could have predicted the violence about to erupt in row 43. The attack would come without warning, transforming a tranquil flight into chaos. The randomness of what followed would leave everyone searching for answers. The flight had been uneventful, with passengers quietly enjoying their meals and the gentle hum of the engines filling the cabin. Suddenly, without warning, Usirapali rose from his seat in row 43, his movements abrupt and unsettling. In his hand, he gripped a metal fork from the meal service, an object no one would ever expect to become a weapon at 35,000 feet. In a shocking turn, he struck the teenager seated in 43D, referred to as Minor A, aiming for the clavicle. The blow was forceful, but Minor A's thick sweatshirt absorbed much of the impact, sparing him from a more serious injury. The suddenness of the attack left those nearby frozen in disbelief, struggling to process what had just happened. But Usirapali didn't stop. In a split second, he lunged over Minor A, targeting another teenager, Minor B, seated in 43E. With a swift, violent motion, he stabbed Minor B in the back of the head, the metal fork glinting under the cabin lights. The attack was so sudden and unexpected that no one had time to react or intervene. Chaos erupted instantly. Passengers screamed and scrambled in their seats, some ducking for cover while others tried to move away from the scene. Flight attendants rushed down the aisle, their faces etched with concern and urgency as they tried to assess the situation and restore order. The metal fork, so ordinary just moments before, had become a tool of violence in an instant. It was a chilling reminder of how everyday objects can be transformed into dangerous weapons when least expected, especially in the confined space of an airplane. Minor B suffered a painful laceration to the back of the head, blood staining the seat and drawing gasps from horrified onlookers. Immediate medical attention was required, and fellow passengers and crew scrambled to provide first aid, their hands shaking as they tried to help. The attack was over in seconds, but its impact lingered. It was swift, completely unprovoked, and left the entire cabin in a state of shock and confusion. People looked around, searching for answers, their faces pale with fear and disbelief. Just moments before, the cabin had been calm and routine. There had been no argument, no raised voices, no warning signs that something so violent was about to occur. The suddenness of the attack made it all the more terrifying. As the initial panic subsided, a heavy sense of unease settled over the passengers. The motive behind Usirapali's actions remained a complete mystery. Why had he attacked without provocation? The unanswered question only deepened the fear and confusion in the air. In a matter of seconds, what had started as a peaceful journey through the clouds had turned into a nightmare scenario, one that would haunt everyone on board for a long time to come. The crew and nearby passengers sprang into action. Flight attendants and travelers rushed to subdue Usirapali, who resisted violently. During the struggle, he mimed a gun with his hand and pretended to shoot himself, heightening the alarm. He managed to slap a female passenger and a flight attendant amid the chaos. Despite his aggression, the crew and passengers overpowered him and secured him with handcuffs. Their quick response prevented further harm and restored order. The pilots prepared to divert the flight, prioritizing safety and medical care. The professionalism and bravery of the crew were critical in containing the threat. The focus now shifted to landing as soon as possible. Once restrained, Usirapali's behavior turned bizarre. He dropped to his knees and tried to kiss a flight attendant's shoes, a jarring shift from violence to submission. He began mumbling incoherently, referencing the Quran, Barack and Michelle Obama, and calling himself a sinner in the eyes of Siddhartha. He claimed, "I am the reason for COVID," and wished happy times to everybody. His ramblings suggested a severe mental health crisis or disconnection from reality. Crew members documented his statements while keeping him restrained. This erratic behavior became a key focus for investigators. Understanding his mental state would be crucial for the legal process ahead. With the immediate threat finally contained, the captain made a swift and decisive choice. The safest course of action was to divert the flight to Boston Logan International Airport. The crew quickly relayed the new plan to air traffic control, requesting priority landing clearance. In the cockpit, tension was high, but the pilots remained focused, working together to ensure the safety of everyone on board. The hum of the engines was now accompanied by a sense of urgency as the aircraft changed direction, heading toward Boston. Passengers were informed of the emergency landing through calm but serious announcements. The flight attendants moved swiftly through the cabin, answering questions and offering reassurance. Some passengers clutched their armrests, while others exchanged worried glances, trying to process the sudden change in plans. Despite the anxiety, the crew maintained order, guiding everyone to remain seated and buckled as the plane began its descent toward Boston. The remainder of the flight was tense and emotionally charged. Crew members kept a close watch on Usiripali, who remained restrained, while others tended to the injured teenager, providing first aid and comfort. The cabin was filled with a heavy silence, broken only by the occasional announcement or the soft voices of crew members assisting those in need. Every minute felt longer as the passengers waited for the ordeal to end. On the ground, emergency protocols were activated in anticipation of the plane's arrival. Law enforcement, paramedics, and airport officials assembled at Boston Logan, preparing for a rapid response. The runway was cleared and emergency vehicles lined up, ready to assist as soon as the aircraft touched down. The coordination between ground teams and the flight crew was crucial to ensure a safe and efficient response. After a tense approach, Lufthansa 431 landed safely in Boston, bringing the mid-air ordeal to an end. The pilots guided the plane smoothly onto the runway, and a collective sigh of relief could almost be felt throughout the cabin. For many, it was the most stressful landing they had ever experienced. The aircraft was directed to a remote area of the airport, away from the main terminal. Police cars and ambulances quickly surrounded the plane, their lights flashing in the darkness. The sense of isolation heightened the gravity of the situation as everyone waited for the next steps. Inside the cabin, passengers waited anxiously for instructions. The reality of what had happened was beginning to sink in, and the atmosphere was thick with a mix of fear, exhaustion, and anticipation. Some people prayed quietly, while others simply stared ahead, lost in thought. The diversion to Boston marked the beginning of the official investigation and medical response. Investigators and emergency responders boarded the aircraft, tending to the injured and beginning to gather statements from witnesses. The process was methodical and thorough, as authorities worked to piece together exactly what had transpired during the flight. As the plane finally came to a stop and the doors opened, a wave of relief swept through the cabin. Yet, uncertainty lingered. Passengers were grateful to be safe, but the events of the flight would stay with them for a long time. The ordeal was over, but its impact was only just beginning to unfold. Law enforcement boarded immediately, taking Usiripali into custody without further incident. Emergency medical personnel treated Minor B's head wound on board. Passengers remained seated as authorities collected evidence and conducted interviews. The metal fork used in the attack was recovered from the galley trash. Statements were taken from crew, victims, and witnesses. After the investigation, passengers were allowed to deplane and await new travel arrangements. The ordeal left many shaken and delayed their journey to Frankfurt. Usiripali, meanwhile, was uncooperative and invoked his right to remain silent. The focus now shifted to the legal process and understanding his motives. Usiripali was held in federal custody as the U.S. Attorney's Office took over the case. He was charged with assault with a dangerous weapon on an aircraft, a serious federal offense. The use of the metal fork elevated the charge, carrying the possibility of a lengthy prison sentence. Court proceedings began with psychological evaluation likely given his erratic behavior. The investigation continued, gathering evidence and witness testimony. For the passengers, especially the two teens, the incident was a stark reminder of how quickly a routine flight can turn terrifying. The case now moves through the judicial system, seeking answers and accountability. Lufthansa Flight 431's ordeal stands as a sobering lesson in the unpredictability of air travel.